Hey yogis, this is a little flow that is targeted at paying special attention to our feet. So we walk around on these puppies all day and they hold us up, whether we're running, biking, just walking, or anything in between. And we often put them into these little boxes that we call shoes. And they don't always have a chance to spread as far as the toes go or learn how to put and distribute the weight to all four corners of the feet. And so we're just going to pay special attention to this area of the body as we go through a mini flow. All of that being said, let's come to our backs with the soles of our feet together, knees apart, arms out to the side, or you can rest them on belly. And close the eyes, settle the body, get all the wiggles out so that the hips can be nice and heavy and still. The pull of gravity can create a little stretch through the inner line of legs as the knees fall left and right. And just notice those feet touching each other, not pressing together, pretty passive. But notice where they're touching. So most likely it's along the pinky side edge of the foot. Maybe it's more through the ball of the foot, more through the heel, or equal in between. Potentially you have a really high arch, so you don't feel anything in the middle. You have this little gap, or maybe you feel them connected along the entire length of the foot. Whatever it is, just pay attention, send some breath to this area, take some slower inhales and longer exhales to ground the focus, to arrive in your body for your practice. And then draw a little body scan up from those soles of feet all the way up legs, over hips, over torso, making sure everything is passive, noticing areas of tension so that you can pay attention to that as we move, but trying to get as soft as you can for the next 5 rounds of breath. Even softening face, especially jaw, furrowed brow relaxes, teeth, tongue, lips. And if it feels okay, breathe in and out through the nose exclusively. And then start to wiggle those fingers, those toes. Feel all 10 toes wiggling against one another. And press into the feet towards one another. Draw the legs together and then separate the feet and come to hip width distance apart. A bridge set up with those feet in line with hips, toes facing forward, so parallel, heels nice and close, so maybe you can touch them with your middle finger. And notice the difference between pressing inside the feet and outside the feet. So inner line of legs fire up when you draw some attention towards the big toe edge versus the outer edge of the feet tend to splay the knees a little bit out. And then find the place in between those two extremes where all 4 corners behind the big toe, behind the baby toe, and the 2 corners of the heels are evenly pressed down. Spread your toes, lift them slightly so you can get them as wide as possible. And then exhale, settle them down. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, press into the heels, activating the posterior chain of the body, lifting into your bridge, pushing through the heels, feeling that activate the hamstrings and the glutes as you get higher. Breathe at the top. Notice if you go more to the pinky toe side edge, how you tend to splay the knees. Now draw the inner line of legs together by pushing into the big toe edge of the feet. Notice how that activates the inner line of legs, draws the knees through center without collapsing as if you were squeezing a block there, drawing them forward. One more breath here. Weight still a little bit more in heels than balls of feet. And then slowly roll back down. Good. And just take your feet nice and wide. Arms can come overhead. And windshield wipe the legs side to side, stretching through the quads and the hips as the knees dip left and right. Stay when the knees come over to the left. Walk the right foot more to the right on the inner line of foot and drop the knee down and away, getting a stretch through the front of that right hip, maybe taking the left heel and digging it into the right thigh to pull down and away, increasing the stretch. And then go to the other side, feet to the ground, knees up over to the right. Left foot walks more left. Inner line of foot is towards the ground. Knee is drawing down and away, and maybe that right heel adds some pressure into the thigh. Using the breath to make space and those exhales to find depth. And then gently come back through center. Knees come towards your chest. Give yourself a little hug, a little rock out, waking up the lower back, hip flexors. And then grab behind the legs and start to roll up and down the spine, gaining momentum, finding the core, turning it on. And come all the way through to a tabletop position, landing there. Tucking the toes in your tabletop, really trying to get, especially the big toe, but even all the toes tucked under, and just press yourself back slightly. So get a little stretch at the bottom of those feet, mostly through the toe joints to start. Inhale here. Exhale, push back. Inhale, shift forward, find a cow pose, open heart, drop belly. Exhale, round curl, and at the bottom, push back, toes are still tucked, slightly curled, almost like a pseudo child's pose. With breath 3 times. Inhale, you come forward, open the heart, get an extension through the spine. Exhale, you round and press back all the way to empty. With your own breath, no rush. Waking up wrists, shoulders, and especially the spine with a little bonus stretch of those feet. Last round like this. And then next time you come to table, bring your feet a little bit closer, knees a little bit closer, keep the toes tucked, push yourself back. This may be enough, or you can start to walk your hands closer to your legs, even up your thighs. And the more weight you bring over top of those hips with the torso, obviously the hips are drawing down over those tucked toes, the more you'll feel this fascial stretch at the bottom of the feet. And you can just breathe. So whether you're huddled forward, leaning slightly forward, or right over top of those tucked toes, see what's interesting here. You always make sure that even the pinky toe is touched, whether it touches down or it floats up. Breathe into the soles of the feet. Notice if you feel this most through the toe joints or the balls of feet or the arches. And just take 2 more rounds of breath, trying to soften everything else in the upper body. So trying not to translate this tension up. 1 more inhale. Present with yourself, present with the moment, no matter how intense or even unpleasant it might be, you are here right now. And then gently come forward, untuck the toes, breathe. And with the toes untucked, legs nice and close together, sit back on those untucked toes. So if you ever need to bring a blanket or something under the ankles or the tops of feet, if you have sensitivity there, you're welcome to. Some people, this feels really comfortable. Sometimes it's quite intense. This may be your counter pose. Tops of feet and ankles are just resting. You can breathe. If you're feeling really good through the tops of feet and ankles, hands can come wide. You can also always grab blocks. And you might just press into the tops of the feet, draw the weight back in space, and the knees, shins might lift an inch or more off the ground as you lean the weight back. So this is just a counter pose. Now we're stretching the tops of those feet. Now they're getting a little counter stretch in the other direction. And also those ankles, especially all the way up to the shins. Wherever you are, take 2 more breaths. And then gently come back through table. Tuck the toes again, mindful coming out of that if you need to shake out the feet before you do so. And we come to a good old-fashioned downward facing dog. Have the feet about hip width distance apart, hands as wide as the mat. Bend the knees a lot, already a stretch for the feet if you haven't felt that already. And then as you lift the hips and push the chest back, spine lengthens. You can play with pedaling out the legs. So bending one knee and then the other. Feeling this through the calves, hamstrings, and maybe the Achilles at those ankles, connecting to the heels of the feet. See if you can almost touch one heel down at a time. And keep the weight equal through right and left leg, even as you pedal and the hips sway. And then pause in stillness for a couple breaths, drawing shoulders down and away from ears, down the back body, hugging those lats, underarms in as you roll the biceps forward, triceps back. Take a big inhale, staying tall with spine. Exhale, push yourself back to those feet. Reach your heels for the ground. And then inhale, come high on balls of feet. Exhale, bend the knees, look forward, step to the front of the mat. Feet are hip width distance apart. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold and stay in your forward fold. And just notice how it feels to shift the weight forward and back. Knees can be as bent as you need. Try not to actually lift heels or toes. Just notice where the center of gravity lives, and then side to side. Also, you'll be able to look down at your arches. Notice how far away they are from the ground, how it feels to come to outer edge versus inner edge of foot. And then come through center, grab opposite elbows, hang the torso. Try to be somewhat equal through the feet for a moment. And then as you straighten legs any amount, tip the weight into the balls of feet to activate the back of leg stretch. Take a breath. You can sway if that feels good. Notice how the weight has to transfer in the feet in order to facilitate. And then come through center, bend knees, arms droop, torso heavy as you roll up, stacking vertebra on top of each vertebra, and then come to mountain pose and breathe. Feel the weight equal through both feet. If you want to take that little sway again with soft knees to toes to heels, side to side, check out what's interesting here. And then blinking the eyes open if they're closed. You're going to reach your arms out in front, palms face down. Make sure the toes are forward, slight internal rotation, so the inner line of legs have to zip up. And you're going to come high to the balls of the feet. Find something on the ground that doesn't move to help with the balance, and then lower the heels down to a tap. Lean back into heels, lift the toes. And then exhale, roll forward, lift heels, high heels. Good. 2 more times. Inhale, back. Exhale, forward and high. Last one. This time we stay high. Maybe you hold, or if the knees are feeling good, spreading the toes, staying on balls of feet. Start to, like an elevator, go down, bending knees forward, tracking right over top of those middle toes. As low as you can get, take a breath. And then exhale, push into the balls of feet, activate quads and glutes as you rise up. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale, rise. One more like this. Lower. Stay low. You can relax your hands, bring your palms through heart center, finding a little toe squat. See if you can drop the knees down and find yourself back into that foot stretch. That might be too intense. You can use your hands to help you as well. And then hands forward, untuck the toes, and find a child's pose. Inhale, come forward, tuck toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then weight comes into the right foot, lift the left leg up. Inhale here, exhale, open the hip, bend the knee, squeeze that heel towards the glute, and drop the right heel as low to the ground as you can. Keep the right toes facing forward. Try not to turn them to the left. Torso facing forward and in between the arms. One big inhale. One big exhale. Inhale, straighten the legs, square the hips. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands. Find a high lunge setup. Soften the back knee and come all the way up, finding the hips nice and steady. And the weight in the left heel and the ball of the back foot. Tuck the tailbone, make sure you're stacked, maybe straighten the back leg as long as the core is turned on. Reach the arms up in space. Take an inhale. Drop the shoulders on the exhale. Inhale, come high on the ball of the left foot. Find the balance. Gaze can be down or lifted. Breathe here. Big inhale. And big exhale. Make sure the knee still tracks over those middle toes. All the stabilizers in the lower leg. Drop the heel down. Inhale. One more time. Lift it on the exhale. Both balls of feet are what's balancing you. Inhale, drop. Exhale, straighten the legs, turn the hips, find warrior two stance, heel to heel alignment, potentially a longer stance, and bend the left knee right in line with those middle toes, external rotation. So hug the left hip back, pushing strong and straight through that back leg, that right leg, and feeling the weight transfer into almost the outer edge of this foot. So it's like you're pushing the pinky side down and away. This activates the outer edge of the leg. And then bend into the left leg even more. Weight is in the outer edge of the left foot as well, and mostly in the heel for now. Inhale here. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, come high on the ball of the left foot. See how that feels. Exhale, drop it down. Inhale, high heel once again. Exhale, drop it down. Now see if you can come high on the right heel. Now notice you still need to press into the outer edge of foot and make sure that the sickling doesn't happen in that ankle. So if you feel the foot rolling in and you don't have the stability, just keep the leg down or the heel down. But just if it's possible, check it out. Maybe lift both heels just to play, find the stability, transfer it up through the glutes, quads. And then drop the heels. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, turn all 10 toes to the side, toes in, heels out. Outer edge of feet, press down, open the heart. Exhale, soften knees and fold in between the legs. Take a breath. Maybe close the eyes, rock the weight forward into toes, but keep the heels touching. Just let this little transfer of weight make it about the backs of the legs. And take one big inhale. One big exhale. Good. And then slowly, hands to hips, press through outer edge of feet, rise all the way up. Turn the left toes forward, right toes forward, ball of the back foot, transfer the weight. Soften both knees. We're coming to stand on the left leg, bring the right knee up to hip height, balancing on that left leg. Take an inhale. Stay for the exhale. And with balance, just start to find little circles with the right leg from the hip. So make sure you're nice and stable through the standing left leg all the way from the bottoms of the feet. And the hips are still facing forward. So pelvis is neutral. It's just the actual ball and socket joint of the hip moving. Go the other direction. Little bit of core helping you stabilize. Good. And then step the foot down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, step back to a plank pose. And shift forward. Drop the knees or keep them hovering as you lower all the way to the belly. Take a baby cobra or an up dog. Inhale, your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog for 2 breaths. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, open the hip, bend the knee, squeeze the heel to the glute. Keep the left toes facing forward. Heel hidden behind the middle toes, not sickling ankle inwards or outwards. And then inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, square hip, look forward. Bring the right foot in between those hands. Set up for a high lunge. Soften the back knee and rise all the way up. Option to rise the arms. Find your stability through core, tuck tailbone, and bend into your lunge. Take an inhale. Wait and heel for the exhale, the right heel. And then inhale, we lift the heel off the ground. Stay for the exhale. And inhale, drop the heel. Exhale, lift it up. One more time, inhale, drop. Exhale, lift. One extra breath on both balls of feet, heels lifted. And then relax the heel down. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, open the hips to warrior 2. Heel to heel alignment, longer stance most likely. Back toes on an angle, pushing into the outer edge of that back foot. Really pay attention to transfer of weight as you externally rotate this right hip and make sure that you can see the first 2 toes. And then add the arms. Sink low on the exhale. Nothing changes with the back leg. Inhale, come high on ball of foot with that front leg. Stay for the exhale, maybe bend the knee a little bit more, spread the toes, let the entire ball of foot balance you, and then tap the heel down. Again, inhale high, and exhale lower. Now keep the right heel down. Start to press into the ball of the left foot. Pinky toes might lift up. And just see how it feels to push down and away with that strong straight leg. Option to stay here or try lifting both heels, balance, breathe, big inhale. And exhale, drop the heels. Inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, hands to hips, turn the toes. Keep the hands at the hips or interlace them behind you. Soften the knees and forward fold in between those legs. Pushing through outer edge and rocking weight to balls of feet. Forward and out, release the head and neck. And open the chest and shoulders at the same time, 2 breaths. Release the arms if you have them. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to hips, come all the way up to standing. Turn to the front, come to a high lunge, transition to the feet. Coming onto the right foot, bringing left knee with you. Inhale, find your balance, pressing through the entire right foot. Come high, stay for a breath. And then start to find those hip circles, probably hands through heart center. You can always keep them on the hips to make sure that the pelvis isn't going out of whack. Notice if your entire body is moving left and right, keep it as centered as possible with a little help of core. Micro bending the right knee. Go the other way with your circles. And just staying curious about how the foot and the weight distribution in the foot has to change to accommodate the weight and the balance. Go for one more circle. And then relax it down. Good. A little flow to get us out of this. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step back to a plank pose. Shift forward on the in-breath. Exhale, lower halfway or all the way. Press into hands and feet. Open heart. And then up and back. Downward facing dog. Last down dog of this little practice. Take what you need from it for 2 breaths. Even think about melting armpits to the ground. Head releases, eyes can close or stare at toes or knees. Little internal rotation of those legs. So as if you're trying to bring your heels out and your toes in just a little bit so that you feel the inner line of legs zip up. And then high on balls of feet, little stretch. Exhale, drop the knees wide, untuck toes, child's pose. Melt into the ground, relax, soften, let this feel good. And then for your final little Shavasana resting pose, if you can move yourself to a wall for legs up the wall, a great resting pose at any time, but especially after all of the attention to the lower legs and feet. See if you can get them slightly above those hips, even if you use a couch. And if you don't have this, of course, just bring the legs up and let them float over your hips. But find yourself on your back. Once your legs are up, wiggle your toes a few times. Pedal your feet, or pedal your knees rather, and then go passive. Notice if right away the reverse of blood flow causes a bit of tingling or numbness in the feet or warmth or any other sensations. Just pay attention from each and every toe. Moving from big toe, what's going on, to second toe, and third toe, fourth toe, all the way to the pinky. Let that be soft, all the joints relaxed. Check out the ball of foot behind each and every one of those toes, down to the arch, heel, and over to the top of the foot, inner, outer, all the way connecting to ankle. Just let yourself breathe here in stillness. Still aware of sensation, but no longer causing it with movement. And I welcome you to stay here as long as you'd like. When you're ready to move, do so slowly and maybe take some of the appreciation you've cultivated for those feet with you as you move through the rest of your day, week, sending them some love. And thanks for letting me guide your practice. Namaste.